Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of this program, Quest for Peace. And today we'll be talking on the program types of conflict and conflict management. And here on our platform we have Miss Ashu Favor and Miss Aso Claudine. They'll be here to talk on types of conflict and conflict management. Okay, let me start with you, Miss Ashu Favor. What is conflict? Or rather, let me say, what can you define as conflict?
Okay. Firstly, when you hear of conflict, the first thing you need to know is that conflict refers to existing differences or incompatibility between two or more parties, with one party restricting another from realizing his or her interest, and as a result it might lead to anger, frustration, or fear. As a result of this anger, frustration, or fear, it will later lead to actions and reactions. So conflict resolution in its simplest form can also be defined as disagreements or contrasting differences between two or more people.
Over to you, Miss Aso. Please, can you tell us what is conflict resolution?
In another perspective, we have conflict resolution, which is the manner in which people live in a society in a peaceful and orderly way. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. And I still have another question for you. Can you tell us the different type of conflicts that exist in our society?
Yes, there are two. In my own domain, there are two types of conflict. We have interstate conflict and intrastate conflict. Interstate conflict, it is a conflict between two or more countries, while intrastate conflict, it is a conflict within
A society,
or
within
a
state.
country. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. And the same question goes to you, Miss Ashu. What are the different type of
Okay,
conflicts that
adding to
exist?
what she said, I would like to talk on intrapersonal and interpersonal conflicts. For interpersonal conflict, this is a situation where it is conflict within an individual, that's internally, and it is being in a state of dilemma, right? When you're in a state of dilemma, you're in a state of confusion, like you're being put in a space where you have to take a decision within you between two or more things. So that's for intrapersonal conflict. Now when we talk of interpersonal conflict, we're talking of conflict between two or more people. Maybe the two persons have difference in personalities, they have difference in ideologies, or maybe difference in their beliefs and opinions. So those are the two types of conflicts I will talk on. That's
All right,
about it.
thank you very much, Miss Ashu. Okay, over to you, Miss Aso. What are the steps you think we can take to resolve a conflict?
In this domain, we have the two techniques used to resolve a conflict. Firstly, we have the Pacific, and the second, we have the adjudication techniques. The Pacifics, which comprises of inquiry, goods office, negotiation, and mediation. And secondly, we have the adjudication techniques, which is the use of force. So that is.
All right, thank you very much. And the same question goes to you. What are the steps you think we can use to resolve a conflict?
On my part, on the steps in which we use to solve conflict, I'll talk on the mediation process. I would not like to generalize it the way she did it, like to differentiate it, but for me, I think we will talk on mediation, we'll talk of negotiation, and as well as arbitration. Yeah, those three processes.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, there's this question I would like to ask you girls. The question says, what is justice? But before I ask that question, as conflict experts, I want to ask, I'll start with you first, Miss Ashu. To you, do you think justice should come before peace, or peace should come before justice?
Okay, on that part, on my opinion, I don't think one needs to come before the other. That is from my own perspective, because you cannot do without peace at the same time. You cannot do without justice. Justice and peace work hand in hand with each other. So you need justice at the same time. You need peace in order for the community to live in a better way.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Miss Aso, I also agreeing to what she's saying.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so what is justice? what can you say about justice? What do you understand by justice?
Okay, on my own part, when we talk on justice, we are talking in a situation where in a community there is a lot of fairness. Nice. There's a lot of fairness. But before I go on that part, I would like to enlighten people that justice comes from the Latin word jus, which actually means living in a right and in an equality community. In other words, for justice to be achieved, right, persons must agree on the fact that the law and morality must be in order. Because without law and morality, you cannot have justice.
Yes. Okay,
To
thank you very much. So, what do you also understand by justice? That's her own explanation. What she understands by justice as a conflict expert. So, what do you also understand by justice?
In another perspective, justice is a situation in which every individual in a society is having equal rights. That is, there is equality, balance. That is, the situation is balanced. Yes, that is, everyone is living
That is
equal.
Okay.
Yes.
Fairness.
There is
within
fairness
people.
within people.
All right,
society.
thank you
Okay,
very
over
much to you, Miss Ashu. There's this question for you. What is justice? What do you understand by the word justice?
Okay, on that part of justice, I would like to enlighten the environment by simply saying that justice refers to a state in an environment where there's law and morality. There's a state of fairness, there's a state of equality among each and everyone living in that environment. And talking on the part of justice, the part of fairness, the part of morality or law, we must also know that there are some instances in the community where some certain people feel that they are being treated unjustly, or there is injustice that exists. For instance, maybe I might have an issue. Let's just say we have conflict between two persons. Okay, we have conflicts.
Yes.
We are conflicting over a piece of land, and we take this case to court, and then we are being told that since we, from looking at the root causes of that conflict for the land, they will realize that we both own the land, so we have to share the land equally. On the part of sharing that land now, you are giving the greater share of the land, and I've taken the Saudi part of it. At the end of the day, you feel happy, I don't feel happy. Within me, I feel that I've not been treated justly.
Yes.
You understand it? Within me, I feel I've not been treated justly. So there are some cases where people feel really unjust concerning this part of justice. So when we look at justice, we also know that there are benefits of justice.
Yes.
The first, we need to know that when there is no justice, there is no peace in the community.
Yes,
So obviously, when we are talking of justice, one of the benefits of justice we get in our community is the fact that there is peace.
Yes.
Peace is maintained, and not only peace, there is real peace. Because there's a difference between having peace and having real peace. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I still have another question for you. As a conflict expert that you are, even though I don't know you for now, you're really a conflict expert, but from your look, I understand you're a conflict expert. Okay, as a conflict expert and as someone who is studying conflict resolution in the university, what is conflict management?
Okay, conflict management. From my own understanding of what conflict management is, I would like to let people know that, to my own perspective, conflict management is simply, in its simplest form, is identifying and handling conflicts in a sensible way, in a fair way, and in an understandable way. For instance, like I said, in a fair way, if we have conflicts between the both of us, in order to manage that conflict, the first thing I have to do is what? Accept that conflict. I have to accept that the conflict actually exists.
Yes.
Then the first thing I have to do, the next thing I have to do again is that I have to act as a calming personality.
Yes.
Like between the two people, I have to be the one to calm them down, listen to them, give them attentive ears.
Yes.
That's conflict management. There's nothing much about conflict management except the fact that it is the way of identifying conflict, identifying the different processes of conflict, and then looking for the various ways in which you can use to solve this conflict.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Ashu. Okay, now we have another question here, and I think this question will go to Miss Aso. Miss Aso, how can we manage a conflict? She has explained what is conflict management. So to you as a conflict expert, how do you think you can manage a conflict?
Yes, in my own perspective, I have 3 ways in managing a conflict. Firstly, you listen actively. That is the two conflicting parties may have each and every one of them must have what to say in that conflict. That is
Meaning the two
the
conflicting parties. You need to
parties.
listen to
you
their
need to listen to their views
yes before you resolve
the
Yes.
conflict. Secondly, you have to investigate, that is fact finding. You have to know what the conflict was all about.
Okay, the origin of the
The
conflict,
origin of
how
the conflict,
it started.
how it all started.
Okay, yes.
Yes, that is, you have to identify the root cause of the conflict.
Okay.
Thirdly, we have, that is clarifying what the source of conflict is. That is, you have to clarify. That is, after investigating, that is the root cause of the conflict.
Yes.
You have to
Clarify
clarify.
the
Yes, you give a clarification of what the conflict was all about.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Aso. And the same question will go to you, Miss Ashu. How can you manage a conflict as a conflict expert?
As a conflict expert who is MR on the processes of how to manage a conflict, you cannot be partial. Because partiality can instead lead to another phase of the conflict.
Yeah.
So you must be impartial. In other way, you must be fair to the both parties you are dealing with.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I've really learned a lot from what you guys have said here. Okay, there's this general question. I think it's the last question for everyone here. The question is talking about conflict. So I myself, I don't know if this question is true or not. So since you guys are conflict experts, I want to hear from you girls if actually this question is true or not. The question says that, is it true that we need to accept conflict and remember that conflict is natural and happens in every ongoing relationship? So let me start with you. Do you think conflict is a natural thing? Do you think conflict can never be stopped?
Actually, for that part of is conflict a natural thing? As far as human beings exist, there is no way conflict cannot exist.
Okay.
Because of the fact that human beings exist, the conflict must exist. So to me, conflict is not a natural thing, but the existence of human beings is what has led to the conflict. You understand it? Because as human beings, we live in an environment where people have different perspectives, people have different ideology, beliefs, and personalities. So what I think is not what you think. What I believe in is not what you believe in. So as a result of these differences, that is what leads to conflict. Because without human beings, you cannot have conflict, because there's nobody to conflict.
All right, thank you very much. And the same question to you. Do you think conflict is a natural thing? We can never eradicate conflict from our society as humans?
Yes, as society as a whole, conflict is unavoidable. That is, in our society, we can never avoid conflict. And when there is a conflict, the best way to resolve that conflict is to identify the root cause of the conflict. When you identify the root cause of the conflict, you bring both conflicted parties together for a peace talk.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Miss Ashu Favor and Miss Aso Claudine. All right, guys, we have come to the end of this edition for today, and stay tuned for our next edition. And